As the early morning sun rose over the African savannah, casting golden light over the land, a solitary lion, known as King, was wandering through the reserve. He was a magnificent creature, with a golden mane that shimmered in the light. Life in the wild had made him strong, but it also taught him the value of caution. King was heading to his favorite watering hole when an unusual sound caught his attention. A soft, broken cry carried by the wind. His ears twitched and he paused mid-step. It wasn't the sound of an animal in distress, but something else entirely. Curiosity piqued, King turned his powerful frame toward the sound, his golden eyes scanning the horizon. On the dirt road ahead, he spotted a small figure sitting alone. It was a boy, no more than 4 years old, with messy brown hair and tear-streaked cheeks. He wore a tattered red sweater, his tiny frame trembling in fear and confusion. The sight was unlike anything King had ever encountered. The lion's instincts kicked in. At first he crouched low, his body moving silently like a shadow. But as he drew closer, he realized the child posed no threat. The boy didn't even notice the lion. His sobs drowned out the soft rustle of King's approach. King stopped just a few feet away, his tail swishing lazily. The boy finally noticed the enormous creature and froze, his teary eyes wide with terror. Before the child could react, King let out a deep, rumbling roar that echoed through the reserve. The sound wasn't meant to intimidate. It was a call, a signal, as if King was announcing his presence. The boy's cries quieted into sniffles, and he stared at the lion with a mix of fear and awe. King tilted his head, his mane rippling in the breeze. Then, to the boy's astonishment, the lion sat down. He didn't attack or roar again. Instead, he observed the boy with a curious gaze, his tail curling around his massive paws. But what happened next defied all logic. Just as King settled in, a rustling sound came from the bushes nearby. Another lion appeared, smaller but lean and hungry-looking. It had clearly been tracking the scent of the boy, and now saw an opportunity. The new lion let out a low growl and advanced. King's demeanor changed instantly. He rose to his full height, his muscles rippling as he stepped between the boy and the intruder. A deep, guttural roar erupted from his chest, a sound that made the smaller lion pause in its tracks. King's eyes burned with determination. The boy watched in stunned silence as the two lions faced off. For a moment, it seemed like a fight was inevitable. Then, with a single powerful swipe of his paw, King sent the smaller lion retreating into the bushes. The intruder let out a defeated growl and disappeared, leaving King victorious. Turning back to the boy, King let out a softer rumble, almost like a purr. He stepped closer, his massive body shielding the child from all sides. The boy, still trembling, reached out a tiny hand and touched the lion's mane. King didn't flinch. Meanwhile, Jacob, a ranger who had been patrolling the area, noticed something strange on his monitors. A young boy had been abandoned on the reserve, a place teeming with wildlife. He jumped into his jeep and sped toward the location, his heart pounding with worry. When Jacob arrived, what he saw nearly made him drop his binoculars. A lion, King, the reserve's most dominant male, was sitting calmly beside the boy, who now seemed oddly at ease. Jacob had known King for years and understood the lion's behavior well, but this was beyond belief. Cautiously, Jacob approached the scene. He called out softly, "It's okay, little one. I'm here to help." King turned his gaze to Jacob but didn't move. It was as if the lion recognized him and trusted him to take over. When Jacob finally reached the boy, he knelt down and scooped him into his arms. The child clung to him tightly, burying his face in Jacob's chest. King stood and watched, his golden eyes following every move. Then, with one last look at the boy, he turned and disappeared into the savannah. Back at the ranger station, Jacob tried to piece together how the boy had ended up in such a dangerous place. Reviewing the reserve's CCTV footage, he discovered a heartbreaking scene. A car had stopped just outside the reserve's boundary, and a woman had climbed out, carrying the child. She looked around nervously before finding a gap in the fence. She placed the boy on the ground, kissed his forehead, and hurried back to the car, leaving him behind. Jacob's heart ached as he replayed the footage. It was clear that the woman hadn't abandoned the child out of malice. Her actions were hesitant, and her kiss spoke of love. But why had she left him in such a perilous place? The boy who finally revealed his name as Liam couldn't explain much. He only knew that his mama had promised to come back. Jacob's mind raced with questions, but one thing was clear. Liam needed help, and he needed it fast. Over the next few days, Jacob cared for Liam as authorities searched for his family. The boy quickly grew attached to the ranger, often asking to see the lion. Jacob took him on short drives around the reserve, and every time they spotted King, Liam's face lit up with joy. The bond between the boy and the lion was undeniable. It was as if King understood the child's vulnerability and had taken it upon himself to protect him. For Jacob, it was a reminder of the incredible connection between humans and animals. When efforts to locate Liam's family failed, Jacob made a life-changing decision. He filed to become Liam's guardian, determined to give the boy a safe and loving home. The process was long and challenging, but Jacob never wavered. Months later, as the adoption was finalized, Jacob took Liam on a special trip. They drove deep into the reserve to find King. When they finally spotted him resting under a tree, Liam waved excitedly. King lifted his head, his amber eyes meeting Jacob's. It was a moment of understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the role they had both played in saving the boy's life. Years later, Liam would grow up hearing stories of King, the lion who had protected him when no one else could. He would visit the reserve often, always searching for the golden mane that had once been his shield. For Jacob and Liam, King was more than just a lion. He was a symbol of strength, kindness, and the extraordinary bond that can exist between man and beast. Would you act as Jacob did? What do you think drove King to protect the boy? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories like this one.